what I've got set up so far is the smallest aquaflies cone, 20mm shank, and then olive black rabbit strip that you'll notice the hide is nice and thin, so that's half width. So I just took a normal one that's that thick and split it down the middle. In this vise, you can see I just take a razor blade. You can split rabbit strips. That's pretty much self-explanatory. This is 20-pound braid, not 50-pound braid, because this is the Skinny Hoh. And then I've got a composite or dubbing loop ready to go. And then all that's going to go into that dubbing loop is one back station off the composite loop card worth of this pink and chartreuse fusion dub, and get that spun in there. Oh, really quick before we do that, you'll notice that there is just about 1/4 of an inch of rabbit strip left behind that size 2 or size 4 hook that's going to be going on there. After the twisted hitch, that'll kind of land pretty much perfectly. Like on that guy there, you have the hide going right to the bend of the hook. And so that's an important fact, because if you leave it too much space there, then what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up having to cut a bunch of this off, or else it's not going to sit right on the hook. And then what you thought you were tying proportionally, well, the tail just got shorter, and so now it doesn't look quite right. So we're going to wax the loop. This is an Aquaflies dubbing spinner. It's really cool. I want to show you a pretty unique thing I love about that one. There's the OPST one. Look how much longer that one is. Now, I used that one for years. There's nothing that wrong with it, but this is much better because I can spin that and it doesn't, it's not so long and arduous to handle.
Not to mention, probably the most important factor is that this is a closed loop minus the bottom. This, I've had that slip off my loop so many times. If I move this a weird direction, it just unhooks and all your hard work is gone. That never happens with this.
So we're going to take this. By the way, there'll be a link in the description for the hardware you need to tie this fly. So the exact cone, the exact shanks that I use, this dubbing spinner. So hit that with the wire brush. Really the key to getting this right is that you want to create think of like a hackle on a feather. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. We're just going to wrap this up tight. So this is basically 1 inch of dubbing that has been split down the middle to make it basically a 1/2 inch. So it's just a little hot spot. This shouldn't be big and hanging off at the end. So this is what I mean about tying better loops. Look how thin what you would be wrapping off of, say, an ostrich tip, if you were to palmer that on there, would be in the middle, right? So you're just trying to create that thin line with the thread. There should be notice there's no big bulky spots that are uneven on that when you palmer it. Okay, legs, 2 beige and 2 orange. And take 1 of each. You can cut them after or just offset them by 1/2 inch now, which I tend to do. They're a little too long even when I'm going in half, so I'm just going to take about 3/4 of an inch off. These go on the bottom. So that's the middle, right? I'm on the bottom left of the fly, and then more come in over here and fill this bottom right. I'm gonna get 2 wraps in split and then take the ones in front and just pull them back and capture them there. So now you can see where those are hanging off and where the spaces we have for on the other side that we're gonna fill now. Okay, so these are like the little nuances that take your fly tying to the next level. Notice they're not all clumped up in the middle on the bottom. I have them kind of spread out and taking up the bottom almost like a belly would. And so when they're back, they have room to move like that instead of like this. Now we're gonna go for some flanks. The ostrich about 8. And I like to take it from this part of the feather just because you get the nice kind of straight and pointy ends, not too plumy. If you were to take it from something like down there, you would not get the same look. You get this really cool kind of buggy, spiky look when you use those thinner fibers. So that's something to keep in mind. A lot of people ask where I get my ostrich too. This natural ostrich I just cut off of a feather duster. You're welcome. Pinch them tight, size them up. This goes to 2/3 the length of the fly. So you can see total length of the fly. I don't want them there because they're kind of competing with the tail at that point. They should take up a specific zone. You're right about there. If they're too short, like say I tied them in like that, then when I tie in my front shoulder, there will be no distinction between them. Okay, so I've got those tied in 2/3 the length of the fly and got that going on the other side too. Now we have to build the forward hackle and forward station. On the Skinny Hoh, I kind of do it all in one. So it'll just be one more big loop here. So on the card, I've basically got a little bit over the bottom and a little bit into the forward station worth, kind of a unique measurement, but because we're doing it custom, it's a little bit more. And I've just got that split into equal halves, so that will sandwich together after I lay down some ostrich and some predator wrap in there all together. So at this point, I'll collect all my ostrich in my fingers first and get them somewhat even at the ends. Then I'm just gonna cut that to be about 1 inch, 1.25 inches. So now I'm just still holding all that. And I'll just take a clip. I don't know what brand that is. I use like a chip clip and just capture all that down. It's like the perfect size, right? So now I can evenly lay that down. I could bar it at this point if I wanted to. And so that's just going right over all that dubbing we laid down. Open the clip, catch it with the other finger. And then I take my scissors and lift my finger. The scissors are way less staticky, way less sweaty. So it's not going to stick to those. You can just take it right off. And I'm going to take some orange and black barred predator wrap, like a really small amount, a little less than ½ an inch worth of them. And they're going to be pretty long though, probably about 1.5 inches long. Take those, spread them out. And then I'm going to lay those so that the ends are just past the ostrich. Capture it down with the scissors, and I'll get you a close up here. Now notice what I'm doing. Then what you want to do is just go in and spread them all out evenly and make sure they're perfectly running perpendicular to the center line here. So if you have crooked stuff that's faced like that, if it's not nice and even over here, you really want to use this as a very clear guide. Get them evenly distributed across the whole composite loop and make sure they're facing the right direction. If they're clumpy anywhere, you're going to have a shitty loop. It's as simple as that. So again, the analogy of spinning up a feather, there's no clumps anywhere in there. They're perfectly evenly distributed for palmering. That's all that we're trying to create. So if you have loops that don't look good, it's because you're not designing them the way nature designs them. So just like nice and even. And again, just past the length of the ostrich, just a little bit past on the back. The predator wrap's slightly bigger because it's acting as like a bit of substance in this loop. Whoops. Now, cheese. Take the ice stub, other half, shake off that little guy. And it's not quite long enough yet. Normally I'd not be doing this with one hand, but just pinch it out a little bit further. We want some overhang so we can actually pick it up. There we go. Lay it right down the end. Now look at that. That's nice and even, right? And so then we can just go in there and sandwich that, and that kind of holds it together. 4-inch twice around the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the front. And we just take our Aquafly's dubbing spinner. Oh God, this is such a good video. And then we take a little bit of goopy and then pick up carefully. I like to kind of get the front end up like a pancake and then put another finger under it, and then that'll support it. And you could just chill with the loop open there for a second. Totally played myself here. Forgot to get a little extra ice stub out, but this is maybe a PhD video. You want to do hybrid stuff like this. See, I'm simultaneously keeping the loop open, splitting some new dubbing. Kidding. Okay, so that goes in. Still got it under my arm and clear. Let's go ahead, use a needle at this point. Find the front of scissors work just fine. And just do that same thing we did before. If there's anything that got pushed forward a little bit, diagonal, again, straight out, perpendicular, and the ostrich has barely anything poking out of the back. Sometimes I'll even tap it a little more. Yeah, just like that. There's not a bunch of tag ends hanging out, but I will pull maybe the opposite for the predator wrap. Pull them out that side a little bit more. Should have a little rebound on it. That's how you know it's spun well. And then I will take take my wire brush and kind of not beat the devil out of it totally. Go in there and just notice I'm not working at the ends. I'm actually working at the middle. Keep thinking of this like you're palmering the top of a feather, a schlappen feather, guinea. The spine down the middle is this tiny little line. That's what you're going for. General tip, stop putting so much stuff in there, because if you can't get it nice and thin, if you look through the light, look at the line, right? There's nothing messing that up. It's the same thickness all the way through. Brush, 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 brush. Okay, there we go. So we got the glowing belly, nice natural ostrich legs. Just got to throw a hook on it. My hook of choice with Skinny Hoh Dramatic Lighting is the size 4 aqua talon. You don't need a bigger hook than that all summer long. Unless you're swinging for kings, then you can go for the 2 or a 1, but you would not be fishing a Skinny Hoh. So towards the point of the hook side you enter from, that stuff is bothering you, and actually hold it back. And then loop over, turn around, boom, loop over from the back facing up, grab a tail in. We already know that we only need just about a ½ inch of tail. Pull it like 70%. See where it's landing. And then grab your, I don't even know what this shit's called half the time. Whip finisher? Am I really gonna have to say that word? And then cut the hair out of there. One more thing you wanna make sure of is that the rabbit strip is nice and even. So it's like sitting perfectly on the top of the eye of the hook. And then there, boom, so hook is on, so that's just gonna follow that tail around. Last thing I'll go for is some barring. I'll go like boom, Boom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. The Skinny Hoh. It's kind of like a nice natural summer one. Super light. I mean, you could throw that on a Scandi line, seriously, because of the size of that cone, the fact that there's virtually no shank. It looks like a nice, big, tempting fly. Lots of movement. So, I mean, it's not that big, but really light.